I am Ajibintu Drame, and this is QTV Midday News coming to you live from our studios along Keraba Avenue, and thanks for joining us. Our top stories. The Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare on Tuesday presided over the official launch of the National Referral Mechanism for the protection of vulnerable migrants, including victims of trafficking. The General Transport Union has expressed disappointment and is threatening a sit-down strike next month if the government fails to consider and implement their demands. The chief of Jara West, Yaya Jajusi, who was adversely mentioned at the TRRC, has reconciled with his victims of human rights violation at Jara Sekunda. In business news, Jarama Incorporated, a Gambian-led business based in the USA, on Saturday organized the first ever business and technology conference, bringing together young business entrepreneurs. In international news, Tuesday, 17 August marks the 61st independence anniversary for Gabon, a former French colony. In sports news, Gambia Scorpions finally get to find out who their group opponents will be in their maiden AFCON tournament. Stay tuned to find out. Those were our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Now, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Fatou Kinte, on Tuesday presided over the official launch of the National Referral Mechanism for the protection of vulnerable migrants, including victims of trafficking. As LUCC reports, the NRM seeks to enhance cooperation through institutionalization of referral assistance mechanism.
Large numbers of Gambians had and continue to leave the country in search of supposedly better opportunities. During the process, many have become stranded and extremely vulnerable, as many other unsuspecting ones are tricked and trafficked by sophisticated traffickers. Many are forced into commercial sex work and sometimes join armed groups. The National Referral Mechanism, NRM, has been developed under the EU-IOM Joint Initiative for Migration Protection and Integration in the Gambia. Partners, including the Gambia government and IOM, have joined efforts to facilitate assistance to voluntary returnees and the integration of stranded migrants. However, meeting the needs of these people requires a coordinated approach and enhanced capacity of stakeholders to respond. The NRM aims to improve and institutionalize collaboration among government authorities, civil society organizations, and international organizations to jointly protect their basic rights. As such, Corrado Pampaloni, EU ambassador to the Gambia, and Richard Pascal, US ambassador to the Gambia, say a platform for a coordinated provision of services and referral of vulnerable migrants, including returnees and victims of trafficking, is timely.
To strengthen migration management, to address the challenges and to respond to the needs of vulnerable migrants requires a holistic, coordinated and collaborative effort among stakeholders.
It is sometimes difficult to fathom the scale and the scope of this problem. It is truly staggering that we estimate that nearly 25 million people worldwide are victims of human trafficking.
Fumiko Nagano, Chief of Mission IOM in the Gambia, says the development of the document is a culmination of series of consultations among stakeholders and approach stakeholders for their active engagement in the process, despite the hitches imposed by COVID-19.
Achieving these objectives requires a concerted effort from all stakeholders to now act and work in support of the NRM guidelines to make the NRM come to life rather than letting the document sit merely as a piece of paper. These next few months require us to communicate, collaborate, and maximize each other's strengths and expertise aimed at ensuring the vulnerable migrants, including victims of trafficking, receive the best possible existing services and care based on their needs and circumstances.
Deputizing for the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Tulai Jawara Sisa of the National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, says the NRM has identified government and non-government service providers and actors that can deliver crucial protection assistance to victims of trafficking. Fatou Kinte, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Welfare, gave assurances of her ministry's commitment to support the NRM and strengthen cooperation for identification to providing durable solutions. The minister hopes for effective implementation of the mechanism.
The government of the Gambia recognizes the challenges faced by returning migrants, especially in accessing services to address their protection needs, such as access to health care, justice, shelter, among others.
As the Gambia continues to grapple with irregular migration, the launch of NRM is not being seen as the end, but rather the next step in the continued effort to work together to tackle the serious global challenge. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
The General Transport Union has expressed disappointment and is threatening a sit-down strike next month if the government fails to consider and implement 6 of their transport sector demands. Mobudu Laminchoy reports.
Executive and representatives of the General Transport Union, commonly referred to as the Gambia Transport Union, from all the regions are here seeking a positive response to address their long-standing demands and concerns. They have expressed dissatisfaction and disappointment over government's handling of the transport sector. The president of the union, Omar Cisse, in a statement, is critical of government's alleged failure to consider their report of findings and recommendations, which the union had submitted to the president, ministries, and other stakeholders in March this year.
But it's very sad as a government.
We have issued our report to the government, but it's very sad that we mobilize our resources to tour the country, bringing our collective ideas and suggestions about the transport sector, but the government is not willing to consider any.
The report highlighted various concerns about the transport sector with recommendations and 12 demands for government to consider and solve. Having waited for several months with no sign of government's willingness to intervene, the union has streamlined the 12 demands in the report to the 6 concerns it deems in need of urgent government action. The demands include that government allocate drivers' garages estimated increment of transport fare between 25% and 30%, a reduction of the toll fee for the Senegambia Bridge, introduction of a queuing system for transit goods at the port, and relieving restrictions on passenger vehicles at borders.
Mota, you been the government on the 10th of August 2021, the Lanjosin demands.
This is why we wrote to the government on the 10th of August, highlighting our demands we want addressed. If government does not meet the demands, I hereby state that we will declare a sit-down strike on September 13th until our demands are met.
The president of the union has stressed that they are not ready to compromise on any of the demands, as these all relate to addressing transport sector-related problems and concerns.
This all demands is on their domains. They have power to increase the fares. They have power to allocate the garage as far as the local government is concerned. They have a mandate to reduce the Senegambia Bridge prices. They have right to regulate, every passage. They have right to introduce queuing system at the port of Gambanion. They have right to engage their counterpart in Senegal to respect the ECOWAS protocols. If they don't want to do it, we cannot force them. But they have that mandate, they have that power, as far as they are the government of this country.
A sit-down strike will have serious consequences if a compromise is not brokered. QTV will seek a reaction to the union's ultimatum from the Transport Ministry, but could not do so ahead of this broadcast. Mohamed Lamin Choy, QTV News.
Yahya Jajusi, who was adversely mentioned at the TRRC, reconciled with his victims of human rights violation in his community over the weekend. The event was held at Jara Sekunda and facilitated by the Reconciliation Committee of the TRRC. Babukasi reports.
Chief Yahya Jajusi appeared at the TRRC to shed light on some of the accusations leveled against him as a perpetrator of human rights violations against the people he was governing during the Jammeh regime. Of all the allegations, Chief Jajusi admitted only one, that of unlawfully imposing an alcalo on the people of Jara Sekunda, which led to their arrest and detention of those who resisted. At the event at Jara Sekunda, headed by the chairperson of the Reconciliation Committee, Commissioner Imam Jallo, Chief Yahya Jajusi apologized to his victims and admitted that his actions were wrong, as they were unlawful under Gambian law.
I am pleased that such a gathering has been organized so I can apologize to those that I have offended, and most importantly, to reunite a divided community caused by politics. We pray that what happened in the past will never occur again, and I will seize this opportunity to thank the TRRC for facilitating this reunion and for the good job they have done for the country.
For Alcalo Alaji Mansa Jammeh, he has forgiven what happened between them and Chief Jajusi years ago and says that it is what is expected of a good Muslim. Anything that transpired between us and the chief at the time has been forgiven and forgotten by the entire community. We have just opened our mouths for the first time to say it, but deep in our hearts, we have forgiven everyone who trampled on us during the former regime. We are living in different villages, but we are all under one umbrella and under one district. Thus, there are certain things that we should not allow to come between us. But I can assure you that we have forgiven and forgotten. Commissioner Imam Jallo, the chairperson of the Reconciliation Committee, says the day is historic, describing Chief Yaya Jajusi as a humble being who accepted his faults and apologized.
I have seen a lot of people, both in this country and overseas, but I have never seen anyone who is so humble as Chief Jajusi. And the reason why I say this is because he is one of the few people who accept when they make mistakes. Usually, people don't accept mistakes, and that is the source of all conflict in the world. The reason why today the whole world is in conflict is because people make problems and they don't want to accept that they are the creators of that problem and that they should apologize and give themselves back to the people and God. But for this chief, he has decided to do it. He did it a long time ago. He came to us at the TRRC and showed us his desire to make peace with his people. Now, that is not very common, and it's not easy. But I thank him for that, and I think that is the best thing any Muslim can do.
Other speakers included Commissioner Kinte of the TRRC and other members of the community, who all praised the Commission's move to reuniting the community. As a tradition during the conciliations, the chief was given a calabash with kola nuts to use as a symbol of the apology to his victims. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
From that story, we will go with a short commercial break. Still to come, we have more stories. Do stay tuned.
Money, the biggest mobile money service in the Gambia, has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your Q Money wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your Q Money wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using Q Money Bank Link is the fastest, most secure, and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Now, the Kololi area has been hit by severe water shortage. Residents say they are experiencing some of the worst such moments of a problem they have been facing for 2 decades. Zainab Chow tells us more.
Residents of Kololi complain that the scarcity of water affects their daily activities. They said that they have been facing the problem for 22 years. According to residents, the situation has been at its worst over the last 10 years. Marie Koka, a resident of Kololi, told us about the water crisis.
Water has become a problem in Kololi. I can say that the last 10 years is really serious. And the problem has been going on for 22 years. Water is a problem. If you look at Kololi Johannes, Kololi Central and our area, we have taps, but there is no water. And still, NAWEC present bills for us to pay.
Mrs. Koka further says that they have contacted NAWEC about the problem.
With the alcalo and Mr. Cham, could you main office borehole?
The alcalo and myself and Mr. Cham, the one whose borehole we get water from, have gone to NAWEC several times to complain, but there has still been no solution.
Binta Marong, another Kololi resident, calls on the government for help.
We are calling on the government to know that here in the middle of Kololi, we don't have water. Water is our major problem. We fetch water from the ones with boreholes. Sometimes, when there is no electricity and the borehole owners don't have electricity, there will be no water.
Jarai Jaju also complained.
In Kololi, our main problem is water. We are really suffering. We have no consistent water supply. We have to wake up late at night to get water. We are urging the government to help us. Neighbors who have boreholes are the ones helping us. How can we cook without water? We don't have water even to perform ablution and pray. Please help us.
This is not the first time QTV has highlighted the water crisis at Kololi. When we contacted the NAWEC Pro in March 2020 about the problems in Kololi, he confirmed that the whole of the Greater Banjul area is experiencing water problems and his institution is working to solve the problem and restore uninterrupted supply. Meanwhile, for the residents in Kololi, the wait goes on. For QTV News, I am Zainab Chow.
Now in business news, Jarama Incorporated, a Gambian-led business based in the UK, on Saturday organized the first ever business and technology conference, bringing together young business entrepreneurs to network and share ideas on using technology to improve their businesses. And Sumani Esonyasi reports.
This day-long convergence gave young Gambian entrepreneurs from diverse business entities an opportunity to discuss various low-level technological issues, business strategies and processes, and value setting to help set up viable businesses. Speakers emphasized building a strong business identity, how to use the internet or partner with companies like Jarama to expand their businesses. Cherno and Fatu Hydra, founder and chief HR officer, respectively, highlighted Jarama's delight at the successful hosting of its first ever business and technology conference in the Gambia. They also stressed the need to provide more opportunities for young entrepreneurs, especially in accessing funding and building strong foundations.
We did this event because we wanted to help our people know that there are other people outside of the Gambia who are thinking about them, who want to build something for the long run. Regardless of the outcome, Africa is the future. We're the youngest generation, and even many companies from Europe and America are coming over here and building businesses. Well, how about us?
This event is really important to young entrepreneurs because we do not only bring speakers who can inspire them on their different type of journeys on how to establish a business, how to sustain it, but we also give them skills. Not only the technical side, but also the practical knowledge that they could use to establish a business and also to sustain it, because sustainability is the problem. So we believe that this event is really going to be an impactful event because the conference here alone doesn't have to stay here. We have like a large things that we wanted to do. The up-campus is coming for people that attend this event to benefit that up-campus. So just the joy from the faces of young people and the connection that we are having, I feel like the hours and the months that we spent to bring this event to Gambia is really worth it.
Mudlamin Dabo, CEO of Rainbow Real Estate and Construction Company, and Mohamed Jallo, CEO MNC International, thanked Jarama for organizing such an event that they say will add value to their businesses. They implored other big businesses to emulate Jarama to help improve business in the country.
I would say let young people be ready to do the work. Let us all follow our dreams on getting what we want. And then coming together, partnership, because like I always said, we cannot do it alone. We as companies should come together and network together. That's the way we're going to get this country developed.
The third advice that I have for them is, no matter what happens, let them be dreamers that want to realize their dreams and achieve those dreams in a realistic form. Let it be realistic, let it be a smart dream. Like I said, it should be sustainable, it should be attainable, it should be realistic, it should be time bound. So let them make sure they have smart ideas that they can implement that can stay for good.
Amina Rajaju, CEO of Amina Fashion, says as a young entrepreneur, she couldn't be happier to have had the opportunity to take part in such an important forum, adding that events like this should be held regularly.
The event is so amazing. It was so educative. We thank Jarama for the good initiative, So it's so impressive that you see young Gambians, all of them doing different things. So it was so incredible. I was so happy. It was a good event and I really love it.
Given the positive reactions and demands for regular hosting of such events, Jarama officials have disclosed plans to make it an annual event. Among the issues discussed during the conference are how to deal with challenges utilizing the internet, sound marketing strategies, and all-inclusive brand advertising. Answane Sonyasi for QTV News.
Now in international news, Tuesday, 17 August marks the 61st independence anniversary for Gabon, a former French colony. The country is located on the west coast of Central Africa. More in this report by Yahya Jao.
Gabon, a former French colony, got its independence in 1960. Since then, the country has had only 3 presidents. The incumbent, Ali Bongo Ondimba, who came to power in October 2009 after the death of his father, former President Omar Bongo Ondimba, who led the country for 42 years, succeeding the country's first president, Gabriel Leon Ba, who ruled from 1961 to 1967. In the early 1990s, Gabon introduced a multi-party system and a new democratic constitution that paved the way for a more transparent electoral process. Since independence, Gabon followed a non-allied policy advocating for dialogue in international affairs and recognizing each side of divided parties. The country played an important leadership role in the stability of Central Africa through its involvement in the mediation between Chad, Central African Republic, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Gabon's oil revenues have given it one of the highest per capita income levels in sub-Saharan Africa, but the wealth is not evenly distributed and poverty is widespread. It has the highest human development index according to statistics from the African Development Bank and the 3rd highest GDP per capita income after Equatorial Guinea and Botswana. Its literacy rate of 84.7% places it in the top 5 in Africa. French is Gabon's official language and it is also the medium of instruction, but 32% of the people speak Fang as a mother tongue. It has a tiny population of 2,278,531 people, equivalent to 0.03% of the total world population. Approximately 88% of the country's population practice one of the denominations of Christianity, 6% practice Islam, the rest practice traditional religion and other religions. The Gabon national football team, nicknamed is the Panthers, have never qualified for the FIFA World Cup, but have qualified 8 times as of 2021 for the Africa Cup of Nations. They were in Group D of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers alongside Gambia, DR Congo and Angola, in which Gambia topped the group after defeating them 2-1 in November 2020 at the Independence Stadium in Bakau. This was the match in which Gabon's players had refused COVID-19 testing and spent the night at Banjul Airport. Despite the acrimony over that match, as usual at QTV, we wish Gabon a happy Independence Day. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
Now in sports, the anxious wait is over for Gambian football fans as the draw is made for the upcoming AFCON tournament in Cameroon. More in this report. Before we end, here is a recap of our main headlines. The Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare on Tuesday presided over the official launch of the National Referral Mechanism for the protection of vulnerable migrants, including victims of trafficking. The General Transport Union has expressed disappointment and is threatening a sit-down strike next month if the government fails to consider and implement their demands. The chief of Jara West, Yahya Jajusi, who was adversely mentioned at the TRRC, has reconciled with his victims of human rights violations at Jara Sekunda. In business news, Jarama Incorporated, a Gambian-led business based in the USA, on Saturday organized the first ever business and technology conference bringing together young business entrepreneurs. In international news, Tuesday, 17 August marks the 61st independence anniversary for Gabon, a former French colony. In sports news, Gambia Scorpions have finally found out who their group opponents will be in their maiden AFCON tournament. Well, that's it from me in today's Midday News. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.